Ravens fans, today we are going to talk about the top 3 reasons I believe the Ravens can win the Super Bowl. Before we hop in, please subscribe and like and share and also comment. Please comment and we'll talk about the number 3 reason I think the Ravens can win the Super Bowl, and that is because we will be the most physical team day in and day out, week in and week out. We all know that football is a game of physicality. Physicality is a way to actually win games. Unlike other sports where you just only have to use strategy, the Ravens have the ability to be strategic with some of the best coaches in football, but also the ability just to knock people out on the other side of the field. And now I know what you're thinking. Don't all football teams have that ability? The issue for other teams is that the Ravens are more physical than them in almost every level. We know we're going to be physical because we're going to run the ball. But when you look at who we have running the ball, Derrick Henry brings just a whole nother level of physicality that the Ravens didn't have last year from the running backs. Gus Edwards was great, but Gus Edwards is not Derrick Henry. And honestly, he probably will never be. And Derrick Henry is just so much different than other players that you do not really get a hold of how big he is and how fast he is until he's on the field with you. So that's just talking about the running game. Of course, our pass game will be dominated by tight ends. Unlike other teams in the league, who of course have speed on the outside, we're going to have speed and strength up the middle from the tight end perspective. We know Mark Andrews is a baller. Again, Isaiah Likely, though he is a slighter tight end, he's still a tight end nonetheless, right? And then, of course, just the whole philosophy of John Harbaugh is to be physical on the offensive side of the ball. When we go to the defensive side of the ball, we've known for years that the Ravens love big people, and that will always continue. We have physical players who like to come up and make tackles, like Roquan, like Kyle, and we're going to talk about them a little bit more in our second point. But needless to say, the ability for the Ravens to be more physical than other teams, to consistently wear teams down over the course of 4 quarters, and in many cases, how physical can you be and stay healthy is a big determinant of who wins the Super Bowl at the end of the year. And if the Ravens can stay healthy, we already know they have the physicality to really make other teams pay. Now, we're going to go to the second thing that I think will help the Ravens win the Super Bowl, and it is the superiority of defensive players. We always say it's not always about the X's and the O's, it's about the Jimmies and the Joes. In defense, the Ravens have a lot of Jimmies and Joes that will help out this team. Every single level, it seems like the Ravens are stacked. Let's just start with the defensive backs. Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Williams, arguably the 2 best safeties at what they do individually, right? Marcus Williams with that ranginess and Kyle Williams with that ability to play up in the box and do so many different things. When we go to the cornerback positions, we know Nate Wiggins is a rookie, but he looked excellent, right? We know what we have in Marlon Humphrey when he's healthy. And then a player like Brandon Stephens really stepped up and became a number 2 cornerback at the highest part last year. So that's just the DBs. Now, again, there are some holes at the linebacker spot, but we have the great hole fixer. We have a player that makes other players better in Roquan Smith. And that's not even saying some of the pass rushing linebackers that we have that may take a step up, like Odafe Owe and David Ajabo. Now let's get to the defensive line, where we have Michael Pierce, arguably one of the best run-stopping defensive tackles in football, and Justin Madubuike, who last year had an all-pro year. That's just so much talent on the defensive end of the ball. And we're not even talking about new acquisitions that came late in training camp. We're not talking about players that are going to eventually take a step up, like we know the Baltimore Ravens have every single year. So this is just a embarrassment of riches that we have at the defensive position. And with our new defensive coordinator, we'll be seeing these players in new, different, and intriguing ways that you just really don't know what we're going to do with the defensive side of the ball, but we know that the defensive players are always going to be great, right? We've seen polls that said that the Ravens, when you go up the middle, have the best 3 players at every single level when combined, right? So again, some teams have great safeties and good linebackers, but don't have good defensive linemen. Some teams have great defensive linemen, for example, the Eagles, but don't have any defensive backs that really shine and help them out. The Ravens, again, when you take Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, and Justin Madubuike, they are excellent at every level of the ball with a star player that can make a play at every single level. Again, just a little bit of contribution from other players, we will be an excellent team on defense that teams have to respect and possibly can win games from the defense alone, which again, as Baltimore Ravens fans, we love when we can do that. Lastly, we're going to talk about the number one thing that is going to help us win the Super Bowl. And all great teams have this number one thing, right? And that's the quarterback. And fortunately, we have Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, we've already seen, can help us win games. He's done it year in and year out. Now it's time to take the step to win the final two, right? We know he can get to the final two because he did it last year. And again, in those games, Lamar Jackson outperformed the rest of the offense by leaps and bounds. This year, with some more help in the running back position, with another year in the system, can Lamar Jackson take that last step and outduel Patrick Mahomes? Can Lamar Jackson take that last step and be the NFL Super Bowl champion that he thrives and really, really wants to be? There's a lot of reports from training camp that says that he's taking that next step from a leadership perspective because of a sense of urgency, that this team has a sense of urgency to win it all. Lamar knows that the team last year was really, really good. And the fact that they were not able to get it done, I think sticks in his craw, right? He knows the team this year has the potential to be really, really good. Defensive side of the ball, we're going to see what's more important, the Jimmys or the Joes or the X's and the O's. But on the offensive side of the ball, you just added to what you had with the exception of the offensive line. Now, will the offensive line be a problem? Maybe, possibly. That's a real concern. But we have a player that can really take the holes in an offense and really negate those disadvantages that we have, and that's Lamar Jackson. If Lamar Jackson plays like he did last year, we'll be back in the same position we were last year, right? And if he can play better, if he can push the envelope in the passing game specifically, man, this team will easily be the best team in football. And I truly think that Lamar Jackson has a lot to do with that, and I'm super excited to see what he can do. And that is the reason I think he is the number one person, the number one thing to help us win football games this year and possibly win the Super Bowl. There's a couple of honorable mentions I want to mention again in the video. I did consider John Harbaugh as a big option. Again, John Harbaugh is a top 5 coach in the National Football League, and his longevity may even push him higher. He's just been that good and that consistent for that long in the National Football League. And then another thing that I was thinking about was the special teams. The Ravens are known for having the best special teams, and we have the greatest kicker of all time. There will be a couple of games this season, right, that we need to hit big kicks in order to win. There might be even games this season where the offense doesn't have it going, and Justin Tucker has to kick 4 or 5 field goals in order for us to get a win. Again, the special teams for the Ravens has always been great, and I think that that will also be one of the reasons we win games. But the first 3 reasons I gave were obviously, in my opinion, the most important ones. You guys let me know in the comments below what you think. Thank you guys so much, and go Ravens.